everyone, and welcome back to another PWROn video. This week we are talking about the new Series 5 card Frigga. She's a 3/3. Add a copy of the last card you played to your hand if able. I am here with my dear friend GC James. GC, please tell people where they can find you.
Over on Twitch. Right here is the way you spell it. That's what I be doing most days now, just hanging out on Twitch. Not here recently. We've been playing some crowd control Mario. I haven't started this season yet, so I'm due for a challenge, and that's something I'm trying to figure out. Is like, am I going to try to take another challenge deck to Infinite? And if I am going to put myself up to that, what is it? You know, at first it was Agatha, and that took over 400 games.
That's too many games.
So we take a season break. Then we tried Series 3 and below. I think that was only about 200 games or so. Just took a season break, so now I got to figure out what's that next challenge in Snap.
How about you do a Series 1 with Agatha? Just that be your only card. I'm sure that'll go great.
Yeah, 600 games this time. It's also because I do them all on stream when I do these challenges. I don't do a single one off camera. So it's like a huge time sink there. So I got to find that challenge where it's enough Marvel Snap, but I still got room for Mario.
There you go.
But yeah, we've got Frigga here. Do you know anything about the lore for her? Like where she comes from? Yeah, me neither. Just a wonderful Marvel character. I love the art on her coming out of nowhere. One of the reasons why I love Snap, we can look this up after the recording and learn something because they introduce new characters to us and new mechanics. This on reveal copying of a card that you just played, I think it's a really exciting card. Really lines up a lot of interesting design space for the future. It's not going to be your meta breaker, right? I don't know. We'll see the clips. I might be wrong. I've been playing Mario, but I don't think it's going to be the meta breaker, right? It's going to be that design space in the future. So I'm interested to see what's been discovered so far and what we'll discover in seasons to come with her.
I looked after I was done getting all the clips, which I didn't get a ton of because I don't think a lot of people got the card. Again, it's a 6,000 token card. It's very selective, and I think a lot of creators, when they were examining this card, were just kind of like, I don't know about her. You know, they weren't sure because, you know, some people will say, well, you're wasting a whole turn to copy a card rather than drawing another one. And in some ways I do agree with that. But when I started the season, one of the first things that I did was played a deck by Interrobang, and it had Anti-Venom in there. And I will tell you, being able to draw a 0/0 Darkhawk twice is pretty powerful, especially if you can throw Luke Cage on board or Shadow King to reset the power. But that's a very exclusive use case. However, like I said, I found some decks on Untapped. I went and searched by, win rates. And the cube rates and win rates are way higher than they were when she first came out. So it seems like people are starting to get a feel for how she works. And I think she's going to have potential, but time will tell. I still think this is a card, unless you are somebody who really wants to be collection complete, I think it could be a complicated card to get behind. The archetypes that she works really well in are complicated, but what we'll do is we'll get into the gameplay videos and then we'll go over the deck list at the very end.
All right, let's run into it. I think our first clip that we've got set up for us is from Gregor.
That is right.
I haven't seen any of these yet, but of course they are going to be featuring Frigga. And I do love me some Gregor streams and their posts.
Yes.
When they post their workout motivational things, like it almost makes me want to go to the gym. Makes me want to go to the gym.
If I did that, I might look like that. But actually, no, I don't think we would. The commitment is unbelievable.
It's so inspiring.
It very much is.
It's so inspiring. And like that's my point behind it is like, there's no way you can drag me into a gym. You'd have to like drag me by my toenails. But Gregor inspires me. We'll see. 2025 is coming up. I might need a New Year's resolution. If he does a really good inspiration post around December 28th, I don't know.
Maybe this will inspire him to inspire other people. Speaking of, let us start with his first video. We've got a Wong play with some beautiful sages here.
Fantastic, right? I wish it kept it so I could see the negative.
Hero cause.
I'm
agree with you.
constantly impressed
Yeah.
with how powerful Sage is. And he's going up against a move deck, which is,
care about the dagger here.
I mean, right now move is actually really good, which is not something I ever expected I would say.
That dagger is getting massive, though.
I mean, pulling that dagger, like double proc
yeah,
on a
Iron
dagger.
Fist
Come on,
didn't try.
that's a whole
Okay, but do we
new
win?
level of snap.
Can we beat 39?
I love
Holy
seeing good
shit.
Zola plays.
4 Sages on board. When you're playing against a Mr. Negative player, you really have to think, do I win this? Do I stay in this game? Because, I mean, the thing is, he didn't have Jane on the board. So
Yeah.
maybe he didn't get all of the zero cost cards that he wanted to.
Right? Maybe
But-
not, but he had enough of them. He had enough of them. Oh,
And-
so many Sages.
And that the Frigga copied that 0-15. So he's starting out with a 15 power card already. That's pretty good, especially when you're able to copy that multiple times with Wong. Tech was playing the other night and he had played a Sage down and gotten a copy of it, but he didn't have priority. And the other player had Shadow King, which is not great when you get, he didn't have a zero cost Sage either. It didn't go well. It's tough because there's so many counters. Shadow King, that's a Shang target right there if you didn't have priority. If that move player had Shang, I mean, he still would have lost because of the way it played out, but I don't know. Well, let's take a look at his, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was saying there's techs in the game. Sometimes your opponents have them, sometimes they don't. I sometimes I think it's just curiosity, especially like I think I don't know. I have a feeling Gregor may already be in Infinite.
Yes.
And when you get into Infinite, right? Like there's a lot more of that. All right, come on, let me see it. Let me see it. I just
Exactly.
want to see big numbers too at a certain point. So maybe that's why the opponent doesn't end up retreating, you know?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was Infinite when this clip happened. Let's take a look at his second clip.
And this is why I'm good at this game.
He's down to a bounce deck now.
Okay. Very nice. In a little toxin action come in.
Falcon.
And
Are you
getting a
serious?
Falcon on board is just,
Yeah, just free Falcon.
except for it being a last turn play.
Oh no! I didn't realize we were on the last word. I thought we were on turn 5. Oh.
no.
Oh.
So Frigga was beneficial there. Again, you see there's multiple Sages on the board. But when RNG says, how about I take your winning cards up off the board?
Yep.
you
Yeah,
just
random
kind of left.
location on the last turn. Oh no. His face. He's amazing. He can't believe it happened.
It's tough with bounce because there's 2 cards that played early are great. 2 cards that are terrible when played late. Beast and Falcon. You never want that Beast to randomly come down at the end of the game on the board. That's a lot of power to lose. Let us move off now to Lufku, who had some really interesting gameplay. I actually really like that we've got 4 completely different decks. So this one he's doing Dawkin Sarah style deck. So he ended up getting
Surfers.
multiple Dawkins.
Right.
Thanks to Frigga.
Miramasa's gonna hit both of them. Right.
Yep.
That's power to 2 different cards, doubled up because you got to be able to kill both
Yep.
of them.
It's similar to Perry Manilow's Vampire Slayer decks, where you're doubling up the Dawkins, you're hiding Modok until that last turn so that you can Zola, then Modok, and then you've got massive procs on your Dawkin. But this allows you to do it and kind of work around how. So if you play your Dawkin on 3, you play your Frigga on 4, you pop another Dawkin down. The problem is, where does Sarah come in? You have to play your shards down. I think they need to do something with Dawkin shards. He could be a really interesting card, but is limited by that need to spend an energy just to play the card, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And what do? You drop it down to 0 cost? Well, now Killmonger doesn't hit it. So like if you do or if you don't, you know? I don't know, but I agree with you. It's a lot of energy, but being able to pull it off. And then like I was looking at it, the Surfer there to just go ahead and bump up those Dawkins real quick before the Killmonger actually activates the blades was so good because I was looking at like Odin did a lot of power there on top of a Sage and a White Tiger, but that's still enough.
And then his second clip, he played a Destroy deck, which is an interesting concept to play it because you've got potentially a 30 some odd power Deadpool that's really nice to be able to play, but you can only play one of them.
In the last two 140s to play in the last turn.
So he's got a random Polaris
Two
in there.
140 power
So-
cards.
He copied a 20
Oh,
power
holy
Deadpool
moly.
on turn 4.
Yeah. Holy smokes.
Insane.
Still has
Yep.
the Killmonger in hand.
Mhm.
So
I'm sorry to tell
yeah,
you
we
this,
can
but
we just go ahead and do
bad.
that. Oh
Yep.
my
Real bad.
goodness. No way, I'm out right now.
Yeah.
You
I know.
don't
As the
win.
opponent, I'm out right now.
You're
I'm
right.
out right now. You have two 140s in your hand. Like, unless I have Killmonger and I can
That's
give up
cute.
priority, there's no way. There's no
Yeah.
way I'm staying in this game.
Can-
He actually had the potential
that
of
just in
losing
case
this
you
if
run
he had
like
kept
a sprint or
priority and the
something.
opponent had
do
Killmonger.
that
But
and-
thing is,
and
he
you are
didn't.
so dead.
So yeah,
Right,
exactly.
Right, yeah, there's the
Opponent
retreat.
retreats.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
There was no way you could see those two Deadpools coming back up into the hand and stay in.
This is the power of the card, and I think this is the kind of thing that people needed more time to figure out. I found some decks to put at the end. I expected to find some decks that were mid at best. I found decks, they had really good win rates, really good cube rates. We've got the Spotlight Cache that just passed. My apologies for that. Our goal is to have these out before the Spotlight Caches go away. But I mean, if you were missing Red Guardian, Copycat, this is a week you wanted to pull anyway. I think this was one of the better Spotlight weeks as well.
Actually, I don't think I have Copycat. I think I missed out on this Spotlight. This was been a good one for me.
That is a good Spotlight. The cards will come back. I think Copycat is a card that's very evergreen. Let's take a look at some of the decks. So the first one is a Toxic deck. Look at this cube rate. 0.92%, 0.92
yeah.
cubes, 62% win rate. This is pre-infinite, ranking from 30 to 99. That's a lot of games, which surprised me that many people had the card, let alone were playing it to this extent. This is very similar to a deck that I was running at the start of the season. Having that Anti-Venom, being able to get another zero cost card, that's a pretty good hit.
You know, all the things Anti-Venom hits, you don't mind to lose a little bit of power. They're serving different purposes. I like this. There's a lot of Series 5 in this deck. Like, seeing a Medusa come in, that's so interesting to me because that's like, why isn't that Silk actually? You know, why is that Medusa? We're running Agent Venom, Anti-Venom. It's for Anti-Venom.
Oh, yeah.
That's where it's at. She's still okay after an Anti-Venom.
She is. She gets
Okay.
that plus
Okay.
3.
Yeah, this is. I can't play this deck. I don't have all the cards. But this is
Well,
nice.
That's the thing is you've got Anti-Venom, who's a Series 5, Ajax, who's a Series 5, Valentina, US Agent, Hydra Bob. This is probably one of the most expensive decks in the game, in the grand scheme of things. You only have 3 cards that are not Series 4 or 5. There are some cheaper decks, not necessarily by much. Actually, no, this is exactly, hold on. So never mind. This is exactly the same, except it's swapping out Medusa for Scorpion. But what's fascinating is you look at
That's
the cube rate. Look at
Hilarious.
the cube rate. The cube rate is lower. Hold on.
Yeah.
The win rate is only slightly less, but the cube rate is 10% less from running
Yeah.
Scorpion versus Medusa. Now,
I wonder if that's Medusa's surprise factor on the last turn.
It
Right?
could be.
Scorpion doesn't do anything for you on the last turn. He gets no power for you on the last turn if it's anti-venomed. Whereas Medusa, you have a little bit of that extra surprise where mid gets some power that they weren't expecting for free because it got venomed.
I'd be interested
I wonder
in
if
testing
that's where
this.
that's at.
I think so. And I'd be interested in testing this out with something like a Shadow King on it as well. Could be, because that's what I was running in mine, is I had Shadow King in a 2-drop spot. And it did quite well. Because remember, now Shadow King ignores Luke Cage. So you can have Luke Cage on board. Shadow King goes, yeah, no, I don't care. And it just sets it back to base. So I don't know. I think it's worth it. If you've got the cards for it, I think it's a worthwhile deck to try out. I think there's a lot of power there. And I think Ajax is an amazing card. And I think he's been very slept on. I got to Infinite with him the season that he came out right at the start of the next season. I got hit Infinite with him and it felt really good. And I think this is just, it's an archetype that can work really well in the right meta. And I actually think we might be coming out of a meta That is because I know you haven't played much this season, but with everything going on with Surtur, everybody's trying to combat Surtur, and the people playing Surtur have just gone, oh, what if I just put Luke Cage in here? That does kill this deck to a degree because Ajax is just a puny little 4/7. Man-Thing does nothing. U.S. Agent does nothing. So maybe you need to tech in for something like this. Maybe teching in Rogue somewhere to steal their Luke Cage, or Red Guardian if you got it from the Spotlights, or Copycat to steal their Luke Cage, hopefully. You never know.
Yeah, potentially there.
But let's move on to a deck that's a bit cheaper in a Destroy deck. Now we're talking about a much cheaper deck. We've only got 2 Series 5 cards. Everything else is Series 3 or below. Look at that. Look at the average cubes. The win rate is exceptional. Like, you'd be crazy to not try this. Yeah. Like, if you had Frigga,
really
you could
interesting.
I'm sure you could run this deck because you've got X23, right?
Oh yeah. I love me some Destroy.
Yeah.
X23 and Nico. Both of those are some back Series 5s. I think they're still both Series 5s.
They are.
But yeah, this is an interesting deck.
For anyone that's looking at this as a potential, I would be remiss to say go out and spend your tokens on both Nico and X23. We do not know what's dropping in December, but we know something is. And both of those cards have been out for over a year. Yeah. So
they're good candidates.
But this might be a deck that could be worth running. Hopefully Frigga comes back in Spotlights if it's found to be decent.
I love Frigga and Destroy. This is so cool. All right. Like, we saw the double huge Deadpool number, and I'm not a big Deadpool Destroy guy. All right. But one of the things that upsets me in Destroy is just not having enough destruction activators. And I hate Deathlock. I think I don't put him in. He's crap. He's not doing anything special, right? Frigga is that. I tried Absorbing Man. I think Frigga's better because look at Venom. Look at Venom. It's going to be copied at the power it is. It's going to be copied at the power that Carnage is. It's going to be copied at the power of whatever Hulkbuster grabs onto. I love the Hulkbuster Frigga like grappling hook deal going on.
Yep. Oh, it's like when you copy with Nico.
If you tokens on her,
if you copy Hulkbuster with Nico and you're copying the card, boom. Same with Agony. Agony will also work, if I'm not mistaken. You would just play the Nico to copy the Deadpool, or the Frigga to copy the Deadpool. It would copy it after it merges with Agony, so you've still got that benefit. So if you ended up getting Agony for free and you don't have something like Nico, at least it gives you another alternative, reduces the cost a little bit. But yeah, it's you're looking at it now with Nico, X23, and Frigga. Wait until that drop happens. Wait until they announce what cards are going to be in there before you decide to pick those up. So bide your time for the time being, and we'll have to see. But let's take a look at the next deck, which is everybody's favorite, Ereshkigal. Another relatively expensive card. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Series 5, 1 Series 4. But a lot of these are cards that have been in Spotlights multiple times. But it's Ereshkigal. I don't think we need to go too much into this. It's a solid deck that's just... I don't think this is a deck that's made better because of Frigga, if I'm being completely honest.
Right.
I think it's...
Right.
I think
it's a fun include in Ereshkigal, and Ereshkigal has the space within it to have fun includes because you're throwing in a bunch of random cards anyway. So your draw consistency isn't that great. So yeah, I see it being a fun include. I don't see it being like, I don't think it's in the optimized Ereshkigal list.
No.
To be honest with you, I don't see that happening, but could be fun, right? Get a second Quinjet if you're really lucky, and then you're just going to town. Again, Frigga seems like a really fun card, and I think it just opens a whole new design space. You got to think any card that is 4 costs or less from here on out that they release in combination with Frigga. I've got 2 of them. Yep. I can play 1 on 4 and 1 on 6. I've always got that open to me in my deck building toolkit by picking up this card. And I think that's cool, right? And I think it works out for Ereshkigal because you get that extra energy, you find a cool card in your deck. I know there's a lot. I'm going to address something. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I know there's a lot of hate out there for Erisham. I do. I get it. It is so frustrating to see them Alioth you with an Erisham generated Alioth and then Alioth again with their own taken Alioth. I understand that he's given more energy and more economy over to the other side, and I think some balancing needs to happen. But he's a good card for the game, in my opinion, specifically for those who do not have a collection complete kit. For those folks who just want to get on, have a couple fun games, and maybe get a shot to try a card they've never gotten to play before. Erisham is great for that part of Marvel Snap. Now, should you ban Erisham in your community tournaments? It's up for you to decide. But in the game, I'm telling you guys, in my opinion, his mechanic is good. Like, you should only spend tokens on things that bring you joy. And I think Erisham, because you have this sliver of a chance to play a random card you've never gotten before, gives a lot of people joys in that token purchase. They can balance him, they can fine tune him, but I hope they never really change his core mechanic.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. When we were at SnapCon, I played against Kidley Chan, and she was playing an Erisham deck. We were both playing Erisham because it's just like, I had no time to figure out what decks worked. So I'm like, if I play Erisham, I know there's something that might come up in there. But she is at a very low collection level. I talked with her about that when I interviewed her. She had a massive amount of cards that she was missing. She's an exceptional player. This breaches, like this takes care of that gap, and it lets an amazing player be an amazing player versus having to go, oh, well, I don't have anything to answer the meta. Now you're just like, you have no idea what I've got. Plus I'm a good player. I think in that respect, it is really powerful. And you are right. Erisham is fun. I curse it constantly.
We all do.
Because
I mean, he needs a balance adjustment. Look, I'm gonna take a shot here. I'm gonna take a shot here. Wild shot.
all right.
The upcoming OTA. Griffin's been quoted on Twitter for saying something to the effects of patches don't get the juice, but wait for Thursday's OTA. Erisham gets nerfed, and in the upcoming series drop, he gets dropped. I know that might bring people out with their pitchforks and their torches. I understand this, but hear me out. They nerf him well enough that he's not a constant nuisance in the competitive scene, and they drop his series because he bridges the gap for low collection level. And right now, without developing a huge new mechanic or module or thing that as a software developer, that shit's hard and it takes a lot of time, that could help the new player experience so much quicker.
You are 100% right. I hadn't thought about it in that respect, but Erisham is like High Evolutionary. I think Erisham is another card that is designed perfectly for low CL, like low collection level players. I think it fits in perfectly. I would actually love to see that because I think it would really bring, just like Loki did, it brings players that don't have all the cards. Loki brings them in a more, streamlined format, and you're only getting their deck. But Erisham is just like, what if we took all of the cards? And sometimes you're going to get a big pile of dookie that does absolutely nothing, that you can't do. Like, you can't win a single game. Like, you're in Conquest and you just get crap. But then sometimes you just get those hands where you get your Shang-Chi, you get your Blob, you have
the high rolls.
3,000. Oh, the number of times I've gotten a Blob and then I've gotten my Blob from Erisham, it's fun. It's fun and it's counterable. It's just annoying to play against. I will tell you now, Cable, that card, there is no card more
I hate Cable.
I hate him.
Yeah.
I absolutely hate him. I just want to, every time I
know
see
you
his
took
stupid
card.
little face. Yep.
At least tell me what card you took, you smug little punk. You
He's like,
time
nope.
traveling little future punk. Tell me what card you took.
And he's like, no. And then you have to just be there at, like, Frodo, okay, keep your secrets. Like, but I will tell you, playing him is great. The deck that got me to Infinite, it had a Cable in it. And Oh my goodness. The times that I took
Those are
something
fun.
and could just kind of go, "Ooh."
Yeah. Yeah. Because there's some decks out there, right? You're climbing
Yeah.
the ladder. A big part about it is knowing the meta, knowing what the other deck possibilities are. And you see the first couple cards, you see their last combo piece come in your hand. You just know. You just know. Yeah, no. Arisham's fine, guys. Nerf Cable.
Make him a 5-1 and he has to apologize to you when he takes your card.
And apologize. And apologize. Automatically comes out the patch comes out with a new emote that when you play it automatically. No, that sounds like such BM.
Oh, it absolutely does. It absolutely does. Oh, I'm so sorry. It's like a southern, oh, bless your heart.
Yeah, bless your heart. Oh,
All right.
you poor dear.
Okay. Let's move on to Surfer, which we saw a little bit of. This one does not have Dokken in it, which I don't know if it would be improved with Dokken. This is one that I don't know if there's a huge improvement adding Frigga into the Surfer build, because, I mean, you can copy your Surfer.
You already have abs, man.
Yeah. But
right, you already have abs, man. Like,
being able to play 2 Shaws, however, especially on that last turn, because you think about it, you play your Sebastian, your Shaw, you play your Shaw on 3, Frigga on 4, Sarah on 5, then you play another Shaw, Silver Surfer, and Absorbing Man.
Yeah.
Wait, no, is that?
Yeah, I mean, that's...
Is that the right math? It's probably bad math, but...
It's probably bad math, but the idea is there.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, other than Shaw, like, what are you doing? Are you surfing early so that you can pick up Surfer again?
That seems silly. It
seems silly. There's some cases where I wish I could do that when I've played Surfer, just because of like what locations are coming or trying to get prio early. But like, right, we're not putting Beast in Surfer to pick up Surfer.
No.
So I don't think you put Frigga in it.
Yeah, and Beast gives you a cheaper Surfer. Beast, reduces the cost of all of your cards by a significant amount. But yeah, I think this is an archetype. I mean,
I'm not sold on it.
The numbers speak for themselves, though. I mean, that's a solid win rate.
Surfer.
Solid Q
Surfer's
rate.
good.
Yeah.
Surfer's
I think that's
good.
I think that's it. Is most
like,
of these archetypes are
specifically
good.
On this one, I would like to see her the stats on this deck when she's played. Right? These are just stats on this deck, including the games where you never play her. I would be very interested in what happens when, and I don't know if Untap has that or if it exists, right? But
that's what I'm looking for right now. Keep talking.
Okay.
You talk.
That would be really interesting to me, because I'm not seeing her impact in this deck.
Yeah.
And talking about the numbers speaking for themselves, like, okay, let's look at her numbers. Let's see what her numbers speak for, because this one really feels to me like Surfer good, man. Surfer good. And Frigga's a 3-drop. So sometimes you pick up an extra Forge, sometimes you pick up an extra Nova, and she'll get buffed by Surfer. I definitely think the Shaw, like the doubling Shaw play, is the golden line. But that's one combo here. I'm not seeing the flexibility of playing her in other places and her being that beneficial. And maybe that's enough. Maybe that's enough to really just boost the win rate for this deck. Just having those 2 Shaws.
Here are her stats based on Untapped. She is a D tier card, but that's the thing with these tier lists is it's complicated. I mean, her average cubes are still reasonable. Her win rate is still reasonable.
Yeah.
But I mean, again, she is a D tier card at ranks that I don't think should be D tier. Well, hold on, I'm gonna pause for just one second.
Yeah, I mean, these aren't too bad.
Nope. That is not, if that's a D tier, then that's a very good D tier.
Right. And I think maybe part of the reason why they may evaluate it D tier, I'm not sure how Untapped does its algorithms, right? But I don't think a lot of people are picking her up. No. So like that popularity there is not that great for 1 week after the card came out, to be honest. When normally a card comes out and it's nothing but mirrors the first day, right? 10% seems low to me, but I'm not tracking these trends. These are all gut pieces. All right, folks in the comments, tell me right now how wrong I am. To actually track these numbers, please educate me. But my gut tells me 10% is not great.
No. I think it's a bit higher than one would expect, surprisingly enough. Like, I think new cards usually come out, I think, significantly higher depending on the card. I'm surprised with this one in a lot of respects. But hold on, let me open up the Snapdot fan stats and we could take a look at that. So there's Snapdot fan. So she's 10%, she's number 25, which, I mean, that's a lot more people than a lot of cards.
Yeah.
That's a surprising number. But yeah, her win rates on Snap.fan, this is based on the last, I don't know. This is just her current stats, her current ranks right now. You know, she doesn't do great when she's in deck. She does, it's funny. She does better when she's in deck than when she's drawn and not played. So I think that's a very telling stat for her to be 52% when drawn, 53% when in the deck.
She's opening up design space. She's doing some cool stuff, but right now she's better not played.
Yep. So there are some good decks with it, but I don't know if it's worth going crazy to have happen. Well, like she's gone from the spotlights now. By the time she comes back in, if there are good decks, people will have figured that out. And I think it's a good thing to keep an eye out for, because one of the big ones that's been moving up the ranks is the move deck, which I know I'm disappointed in myself too. But the number of people I've seen pick up a like 9+ power vulture, because
this feels good to me.
It does. Like, you're playing that vulture on 3 with, you know, either an Aranya or an Iron Fist to buff it up. You toss it into a Madam Web lane. Because he's the last card that you played, if he's in Madam Web, you can move him and then copy him at that, because he will be copied at the power that you moved him at, because the card takes effect afterwards. So I think this is a shell that is a harder shell. This is probably the hardest shell to work with, but I think this one has the most potential. And same with the human.
Yeah, no, I like this. I like this. This is kind of like this destroy deck where I can see a lot of Frigga targets. I can see a lot of interesting lines. I think she opens up things for surprise elements and for extra power in this move shell. I don't think she's quintessential to it, but these are the kind of decks I think I like the most. And I don't know, you know, before we've talked a lot about stats and everything. I'm going to throw out the asterisk, right? All of this is user uploaded data, whether they realize it or not. Second Dinner has literally everybody's stats, and this can only be a potential insight and is definitely not the complete picture. Might be a wrong picture when we look at these stats, but I think overall, I really do feel good about like saying her spot is in places where she has a lot of value, a lot of targets, right? Most of this deck is below 3 costs. So like you can curve her out very easily and get new move activators, new move pieces that want to be activated. All of these really, you can get another Arena, if that's how you pronounce it. My Twitch
if you didn't
channel
mispronounce
is a channel of misplay and mispronunciations. And that's an activate, right? There's so many good targets here. Not quintessential, but I think it's a super fun piece that can be thrown into a good shell like this move or the destroy. And I also feel that if we look at the number of games from the user uploaded data here, both the destroy shell and both the move shell are less games played. And I believe that has a lot to do with their nuanced bit of being people who play move, they play move. People who play destroy, destroy's a little bit more open to folks, but they play destroy. These users who played these games and these decks know how to pilot them.
Yep. Agreed. And it's taking an archetype and it's not doing what X23 did with destroy, but it's making something really unique. I think that Move is finally getting to a place to where they've got pieces that they can surprise the crap out of you and really put numbers on the board. Like it's nuts how much you can buff up the cards in this deck. Is it going to be as consistent as Destroy? Not necessarily, but Destroy can also be super inconsistent. You can go lots of games where you don't get your proper Destroy pieces. But here, I mean, you've got multiple move triggers. You've got multiple ways of getting your cards back into your hand. That's what you want to see in a deck, is you want to see a balance of, okay, I can make big numbers, but I can consistently make that happen. If you only pull Human Torch, Frigga, and an Iron Fist, that's what? So that's four. It's a significant amount of power just to be able to put that other Human Torch back in. And that's assuming you get nothing else.
On curve.
Yeah.
Yep. On curve.
Yep.
On
This
curve.
is a crazy low curve. Like, look at, you think about this. There is no card that costs more than 3 in this entire deck. One of them will reduce the cost by 1.
Yep.
As long as you don't pull up your minimum up. Yeah.
Just looking at this, both by the low game count, which tells me that this is a move player who's playing this deck, and also just looking at the curve, I can tell you Frigga is definitely in this shell better played than not played.
I think this is, if I'm not mistaken, this is either Sizer's List or similar to Sizer's List. And Pulse Glazer from Snap Judgments was playing this on stream and doing incredibly well with it.
Oh, well, that's where all the data came from.
Exactly. Honestly, I think a good 100 of those games was probably him having Sizer help him through to infinite. Not that he needed the help, but still.
I told you guys, expert. An expert put these numbers up.
There you go. So that's Frigga. She's not in spotlights now. Our goal next week is to have Malekith out so you can make a decision before that happens. But keep an eye on her. I think, and I think you agree with me, Jesse, I think she's a card worth keeping an eye on and worth considering if she comes back into spotlights. Or if you love those archetypes and have tokens to burn, then maybe. I don't think she's going to get changed. Like, if anything, I see a buff, but I don't see her. She's not going to get nerfed at all. So.
Yep. Fun card, but at the end of the day, she's just freaking okay.
And I think that's a perfect place to end it on. Again, everyone make sure to go check out GC's channel. He is a great follow. His streams are phenomenal.
You're too kind. You're too kind.
All right, sir. Thank you very much for your time today. I appreciate it. Take care. We'll see you next week.
See you guys.